The first question that I am tackling today says to us that Miss Bobby decided to open a business that sells sportswear sets with printed school logos. So we've been told the type of business that she is running. Her startup cost to purchase the machinery and supplies for the business was 10,000 Rand. So whenever someone is starting a business, what you do need to know is that there is going to be a cost price. And then from the cost price, you are going to then determine your selling price, which is then going to give us the profit. You know, sometimes people will start a business and then run it along as they go and then find out that they're not making any profit whatsoever. So this is encouraging us to sit down, and when you are running a business, you do consider your cost price. So Mrs. Bobby is considering what her cost price is here. Her startup cost to purchase the machinery and supplies for the business was 10,000 Rand. She buys the t-shirts for 50,000 Rand and the shorts at 35,000 Rand each. It costs a further 10 Rand per item to print a school logo on each item. She sells the t-shirts and shorts as one set of sportswear for 125 Rand. So as you can see in this particular question, we have been given the cost price. It will cost her 10,000 Rand, and then it will cost her a further so on and so on and so on. And then we are told that she's going to be selling it for 125 Rand per set. And in her set, she's included the shorts and she's included everything, plus the logos that she is printing on each item. So here we are given a formula, which is not foreign in the math literacy concepts. We are given a formula over there. Sometimes you will be asked to create your own formula. So you are lucky if you are given a formula to work with. The formula to calculate her total cost is as follows. So this formula is for her costs, okay? So it's the 10,000 Rand plus 105 Rand times the number of sportswear sets. So that's going to be the cost that it's going to take for her to run this business. A is asking us to show how the 105 Rand in the formula above was determined. So if you look at what we are given, we're given the 50 Rand over there, we're given the 35 Rand, and then we're given the 20 Rand per item to print the logo on. We've got two items. So this means that we are going to add 50 Rand. So we are going to add 50 Rand plus 35 Rand plus 20 Rand. And I'll tell you just now why I say 20 Rand. If you go up, the 20 Rand is from her printing the logos on the two items. So it's that 10 Rand times 2, which gives you the 20 Rand. And if you go and you add that up, it should then give you 105 Rand. So that's where they got this 105 Rand. The next question says to us, calculate her total cost for 500 sets of sportswear. So we want to know how much it's going to cost her if she is going to be selling 500 sportswears. So we need to use the formula as it is given up there, which is 10,000 Rand. So I'll just mark that as A. It's 10,000 Rand. We're using the formula as it is given up there. So it's going to be 10,000 Rand plus 105 Rand. So they say that we need to multiply it by the number of sportswear. So I'll abbreviate it like that. So it will be 10,000. So sorry, I made that 1,000. 10,000 that has 3 zeros plus 105. And then we're going to multiply that with the 500. And the reason why I'm just plucking things into the formula is because I looked at number one, the number of marks that I'm being given. And then number 2, all I needed to do was plug it into the formula. So sometimes it doesn't take sweat for you to figure out something like this. You are just plugging it into the formula, and the marks are also, let's see how many marks they are giving us. They're giving us 2 marks, so we know that we're not going to sweat too much in order for us to find the answer for this. Let's go and calculate this and see how much it gives us. So that's 10,000 Rand plus 500 times, so, oh, sorry about that, it's 105 times. Whether I say times and I put a bracket, or whether I just say times, it should still give me the same answer, because the bracket represents multiplication. That gives me 62,500 Rand. 62,500 Rand. So we know that it's going to cost her 62,500 Rand in order for her to come up with these sets. Okay, so we've got that now. In the bag, that was 2 marks. We've got our 2 marks in the bag. Let's go to the next question. The next question says to us, the table below shows the relationship of the number of sets of sportswear sold and her total income. So I want to show you what this table looks like so that you're not in the dark. Here's the table that I'm talking about. We've got our number over there of sportswear that's sold. So we can see that if 0 sportswear is sold, 0 money is made. So this is where our income and expenditure comes in. Expenditure is money that goes out. Income is money that comes in. So expenditure is the cost, and the income would be in the selling price. In this particular one, now we are working with the income, and we can see that if 0 items are sold, then 0 money is going to be made. If 200, there we've got it. If 200 sportswear sets are sold, 25,000, because they told us here it's in thousands. Please pay attention to the unit of measurement that is given at that particular point. If 400 units are sold, 50,000 Rand will be made. Really good money. If 500,000 units are sold, then 62,500, which is what we calculated actually. And it shows that our calculation is correct. So we've got A and we've got B. I'm just thinking they're going to ask us to calculate that A and to calculate that B. So it says to us, determine the missing values A and B. And I had already thought that's what they would ask us. Let's see how we would calculate A and B. In order for us to calculate our values of A and B, we need to find the relationship between the income and expenditure. We need to find the relationship between the number of items versus the income that we are going to have. So let's go and see the type of relationship that we do have. How do we find the relationship? We find the relationship by looking at that 200 over there and that 25 over there. So if 200 items are sold, 25,000 is made. If 400,000 units are sold, 50,000 is made. So that is now the relationship that we have. So there are 2 ways in which you can do this. And the first way that you can do this, that's 4.1.2. 4.1.2. The first way, I said to you, if 200 units are sold, it's going to give us 50,000. No, it's going to give us 25,000 Rand. So just be careful of that. It's 25,000 Rand. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say 25,000 Rand divided by 200. And I want to see if I'm going to get the same answer going throughout, basically. So if I say 25,000 divided by 200, I get 125. Okay? So now I know that in order for me to get that 25,000 rand, it means that I had to multiply my 200 rand, my 200 items with 125. Let's see if we get the same when we go to the next one. The next one says to us 400 items. 400 items cost 50,000. Let's just make that look proper. 50,000. So I want to see if there's a relationship. My relationship would then be 50,000 divided by 400. Is it going to give me the same answer? I don't know. 50,000 divided by 400 gives me 125. There we go. So now that I can see that there's a relationship between the number of items and the money, I know that I could do the third one and the fourth one just to see if I am getting the correct answer. So how am I going to find A? Let's go and see the positioning of A. So in order for me to find A, so this is our A over here. It means that in order for me to find that A, I need to say 87,500 rand divided by 125. That's 87,500. Therefore, 87,500 divided by 125. Let's see if it gives us a number that makes sense, because we want it to make sense at the end of the day. 87,500 divided by 125. That gives me 700. So that means that A is 700 units. So let's see if this makes sense. It needs to make sense within the context that we are given. And if we look at our table, it needs to make sense. Can A be 700? Can A be 700? Yes, definitely. A can be 700 because it lies between 500 and 800. So it does make sense. It really does make sense. And then we are asked to calculate B. And B is directly below 800. So how are we going to calculate that? We're going to do exactly the same thing that we did, but we're doing the inverse of it. So because before we said 87,500 divided by 125, which gave us 700 units. This time we say, so this was for A. So this time for B, we are going to say 800 units times 125 because I found my relationship. And if I found my relationship, it makes life so much easier. Times 125, which gives me 100,000 rand. Again, guys, it needs to make sense to me. Does it make sense? Let's go and see if it makes sense within the context that we have been given. So, can 100,000 fit here? Of course it can, because it lies in between 87,500 and it lies in between 125,000 rand. So it says to us here, use table 3, which is the table that has been given above that we have been working with, and the equation in question 4.1.1 above to draw two straight line graphs representing the total cost. So we are asked there for the total cost and the income for up to 1,000 sets. Before we draw this graph, I'd like to highlight some important things that you do need to know before you do plot a graph. So the first important thing, if you are not given a title, you do need to put in your own title and you will get a mark for it. The second thing is that you do need to label your graph and you will get a mark for labeling both your Y and your X axis, and you also need to put in the type of scale that is appropriate in terms of what they have given you. So know what the independent is, know what the dependent is, and know where to put it in, or you will lose marks because your graph will be the other way around. So in this particular one, we are fortunate because they have given us everything This was a really great question because they've given us everything. So it means that if they had not given us all of the stuff that we are looking at, we would definitely get a mark for giving that axis over there and that axis over there, and we would definitely get a mark for that as well. And if you look at the scales, it's 0, 200, 400, 600, 800, and 1000. That represents our independent axis. And our independent axis basically is the axis that doesn't depend on the other. I always say that it's the axis that doesn't depend on the other one to happen. So in this particular case, the number of items don't depend on the cost. The cost depends on the number of items. So the number of items then becomes our independent variable, which then lies on our x-axis. So in maths literacy, we don't just go and put an x there. We have to label it. So in this particular case, it is labeled as the number of sets. And then on the side there, we have then the amount in thousands, which has been given to us over there. We are going to be using exactly what we have been calculating or what we've been given in the table. So our table tells us that at 0, it's also 0. So at 0 items, we have 0 over there. At 200 items, we make 25,000 rands. So that's the income. So at 200, I'm going to trace it going up, up. I'm going to erase this because I'm just doing it. There we go. So I'm going to erase this part. Okay. I was just tracing it so that we can see exactly what is happening over there. That's around your 25,000 rand. At 400 items, it's 50,000 rand going up. That's an easy one to trace. At 600, so we don't have a 600, but we do have a 700 over there. So at 700, it's going to be 87,500, which is a little bit up there. So I'm just going to move it up. 87,500, which would lie slightly around there. And then at 1,000 items, it would be 125. So if you do go up, 125 would lie in between those 2 points. So I'd put it right in the middle over there. I am going to extend my line. It's not going to be the straightest of lines, the most straight. Please do use a ruler if you can use a ruler for this. So I am going to be plotting the second one, and I'm going to use a different color for it because they say to us that we need to plot for both income and expenditure. So it says to us, use table 3 and the equation in 4.1.1, and then it says draw clearly the labeled graphs on the grid. So we need to draw these two graphs. So there I've got for the income, but now I'm going to do it for the cost. How am I going to do it for the cost? You may ask. You are going to use the formula that we were given, meaning that we need to calculate for each and every single one of them in terms of cost. So I am going to just do a quick calculation, and then we're going to plot that. So for the first cost, which would be at 0, so the formula says to us, let's look at the formula. It says to us, cost is equal to 10,000 plus 105 times the number of sportswear. So I said I'm going to abbreviate it like that. So I know I can say cost 1 is 10,000 rand plus 105 times 0. So I want to know. It means that for cost 1, I will be lying there with 10,000 rand. And the reason why it starts at 10,000, and you are going to be marked on that, guys. The reason why it starts at 10,000 rand is that even though this person hasn't sold anything and they haven't made anything, they needed the money to start the business. So the business costs are automatically starting at 10,000 Rand. So we know that. Okay, so don't be too shocked and think that everything needs to start at zero. Sometimes I find learners forcing that zero there, and they can see it's not supposed to start at zero. Normally with your costs, when you are running a business, your costs will not start at zero. Okay, so this one is okay. It starts there. Let's go to the second cost. Cost 2. Cost 2, same story, 10,000 plus 105. And as you can see, I am doing it step for step. So don't be in a hurry. Don't be in a hurry to finish. So there I'm going to need my calculator. 10,000 Rand plus 105 times 200 items of sportswear. That's 31,000 Rand. Okay? That is the cost. It's going to cost 31,000. Cost 2. Cost 2, same story. Sorry, that's cost 3. Same story. That's what the formula is for, guys. Times. The second one that we're given is 400. And we need to do it for all of them. So with this one, if we do go to the calculator, I can just go back to my calculator there. Okay, let's start from scratch. That's okay. 10,000. I was trying to cheat it. So this time it's 400 items. That's 52,000 Rand. And you can see the money is making sense. The money really needs to make sense. Cost 4. 10,000 Rand. So 10,000 Rand we would call a fixed amount. Why is it a fixed amount? It's a fixed amount because it doesn't change and it doesn't depend on anything else. It's there, it's there. So it's 400. Now let's go plug that in. 10,000 Rand plus 105. And you're getting marks for all of this. So don't be 62,500. Don't think you're doing this in vain. Cost 5. You are getting marks for all these points that you are plotting. 105. And then the next one is then 700 items, because remember we had 700 items. That would then give us 10,000. Okay, that's not working. 10,000 Rand plus 105 times 700. 83,500. And then we have our second last one, cost 6. So this is the price that we get to pay for being given a formula. 800, that we use it. 10,000 again, which is our fixed amount, plus 105, which is how much it would cost us. And then we've got 800 this time, 94,000. And we have our last one, celebration. Our last one, 10,000. 105, and then we've got 1,000 over there. Plug it in. Use our famous device over there. Plus 105 times 1,000. And all of this, it feels tedious. That's 115,000. But you are getting marks for all of this. Stunning. Now we've calculated all our points for the cost, right? Because we didn't have that. And we had a nice little table for our income, but we didn't have anything for our cost, but we were given a formula for our cost. So what do we do with all the values that we've just calculated? We go and we plug them into our graph up there that we have. So let's go in and plug in. So the first thing I'm going to do is try to change my color. And I know at 0, it's automatically 10,000. Don't forget that. Please don't forget that. It doesn't start at 0. And then I know that for 200 is going to be 31,000. And then the second one is 52. So 31,000 would be around there. And then for 400 is 52,000 around there. 62,500. 62,500. Oh, around there somewhere. And then the next one is 83,500. 83,500 somewhere there. And then I saw the next one is about 93,000, I think. 94,000 and then 115. So 94,000 around there. 115,000. I'd also put it somewhere. Let's see. 115,000 I'd put somewhere, maybe, oh wait, it's above there. There we go, somewhere around there. Now it makes sense. Let me go in and try and plot this. It's not going to be the best for obvious reasons. So I'm joining my dots over there. Not the best line. So what you need to bear in mind with break even and costs and selling and profits is that there's a point where your line is going to meet. Your points meet. And where your points meet, it's called the break even. And the reason why it's called the break even is because that's where you start making your profit. That's where your income meets your expenditure. Okay, stunning. Let's look at this question. This question says to us, write down the number of sportswear sold that must be sold to break even and give the income at the break even point. So where is the break even point over here? Let's see. I'll use a lighter color there. So 400 items there. 400 items. That's where the 2 points meet. 400 items need to be sold. And at 400 items, it's about 50-something thousand. And if I really want to see what thousand, let's go to 400. 52,000. Perfect. There we go. So 52,000 Rand. It all meets at 52,000 Rand and at 400 items. I'll draw just a little bit of to show you where it meets over there. And you can see that even if my graph is not the most perfect graph, it still makes sense. My graph still meets. And there's a point where the one graph is above the other graph. And then after the break even, they almost switch. The other graph goes on top of the other graph. So there's a little switch there to show, wait, look, I'm starting to make all this profit. The last question says to us, determine exactly how many sets of sportswear must be sold to make 6,000 Rand profit. So it means that in this particular case, it's going to be selling minus the cost, which will then give us the 6,000 Rand.